Hold up.
For those of you just joining, this is the one and only Bushra. She is amazing and so fun. And one of my favorite things about Bushra is following her and how real she is and how she's so fun and how she will say exactly how she feels about everything, which is like you haven't changed a single bit along this whole journey, which is like my favorite thing to watch in the whole world. But thank you for joining us today. We've got a decent sized house considering how early it is here. It's 8 a.m. here.
Oh my God. You
Yeah.
sound really human. That's awesome.
Kind of. My voice is like an octave lower right now, but that's okay. But
thank you so much for having me. It is 5 p.m. here, and thank you so much for working around my time zone. I know it's kind of crazy. For those of you who don't know, I am in Saudi Arabia, and I realized that my office and my business is held together literally by duct tape and prayers. So I don't know where to look. And I realize that I have to look here because my camera is there, my computer is here. It's kind of weird, but I'm so glad that you guys have shown up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Duct tape saves lives. Absolutely it does. And once we're done with this and I've established a little bit of respect with you guys and rapport, I will actually show you how my husband used duct tape to hold this whole thing together because everything fell apart 5 minutes ago. So thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to dive in.
Thank you so much for joining. So if you guys haven't been following Bushra, she's amazing. So she has a group, and this is where I first discovered her, 60-second persuasion. Yep. 60-second persuasion expert or just 60-second persuasion?
60-second persuasion.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. But I first noticed Bushra as she was launching some awesome courses. And I remember something I saw was that she was like selling out courses. But the weird thing was, I mean, I'm sure you were like sweating over it because launches are tough. But at the same time, like you were so, like you just launched it and it worked. Whereas everybody else, it seemed like they were like killing themselves over these launches with like ads everywhere and JVs like crazy. But you would just like launch it and you would do like 6 figures. And I was like, how does she do that? How in the world? But for those of you who aren't familiar, Bushra is a persuasion expert. So she is amazing at figuring out the copy, the psychology, the triggers that get people to realize, I need this, I want this, I gotta have this. So,
oh my God, that was such a solid introduction. I think I'm just good at, I think once you've, and I don't know how many of you are moms here, but I think once you've had kids and you get really good at holding your shit together and putting on a good, brave face. I think that really helps with launches. So inside you are dying and you're pooping your pants, but outwardly you're like, I'm cool, look at me launching, look at making all this money, but everything is falling apart. And considering I don't have a team, I only have one person on the team who hired this year. So yeah, it is kind of weird, but the good thing is we get good at this with motherhood. So there is that part as well. But thank you. I saw in the chat box, Rachel, Emma, thank you so much, darling. Oh my God, Emma knows all about Launch Ugly. Yes, Launch Ugly is my mantra. Launch Ugly is my mantra. I think we all need to embrace the concept of launch ugly and fail fast. And I'm very excited now when you call me an expert, which is kind of a big loaded word, because it's funny, I was finalizing the presentation for today and there was this slide that said, what is social media? And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you actually going to leave that slide up talking to Rachel's people? So I deleted that shit because I'm not going to tell you what social media is. I would not dare, but I will be talking a little bit about the psychology of social and how to hack it and how to use it, whether for your own business or for your clients, because I'm really excited to talk about that. Yay!
Yay. Do you have something you want to, that you prepared for this?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Wow. Can everyone just like say thanks? This is so exciting. Like she's even more prepared than I ever am, which is pretty cool. Who here has already heard of Bushra? I'm sure quite a few people, they'll say yes in the chat. Not like nobody's brave enough except for Casey and Emma to have their video on today.
Yeah, if I had faces like Casey and Emma, I would have my video on as well. They're not brave, they're just pretty.
I love it. But Emma's in the UK, I believe, right? Oh, and we've got Dustin. He says, hey, I'm brave too. Yeah. And Natalie, she's like, hey. So yeah,
I am so excited to be here. Dane, you don't want to see me. Trust me, you didn't want to see me 5 minutes ago without this whole paint on. So I get it. Hey, Tracy. Hey, everyone. God, I'm really excited to do this. And
fun.
And yes, I prepared it because I don't trust the words that come out of my mouth when I'm unprepared. So I didn't do it for you. I did it for myself. Trust me.
Perfect.
Okay,
right.
what I will do is I will share the screen, and then I will, once we're done with this, I will send you the link to the presentation if you want to have this and keep it with you. It has a lot of evidence that I would not want you to have, but I will let you have it.
Well, thank you.
So I did not put an introduction of who I am and what I do because I feel that's very self-absorbed. And I don't want to waste your time. So you can go check out whatever you want about me. Google it. You might find some really weird shit, but that's fine. That's life. But what I will do is I will share the screen and we can get started. What do you prefer, Rachel? Do you want me to take the questions as we go, keep an eye on the chat box, or do you want me to get the questions at the end?
The more people join, the more questions are going to flood in. Let's just do questions at the very end. So if you guys can just hold your questions till the end so that we don't run out of time and we respect Bushra's time, that'd be awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Ooh, and okay, I have a tendency to also ramble on because I love talking and I don't have a social life. I hardly ever meet people. So when I do meet people, I want to keep talking. So please tell me, how long can I go on? You want me to finish it in like 20, 30 minutes?
We've got up until 9, if that works. So that's the absolute time to say, okay, it's good. But no more than 20 and 30 if you are okay with hanging out. So it's totally up to you.
Okay, let's do this. Do not look at my desktop. Okay, so this weird shit on my desktop. Okay, so do you see the presentation of me saying so many idiots, so few bullets?
Yes.
Okay. So that's also one of those things that I would not openly admit, but that's how antisocial I am. The picture says it all. Okay. So the idea behind this presentation is to share with you a framework to use. So I am never going to pretend to know social. I am not a social media expert. I just know how to use social media, and I know how to use psychology and the framework that I'll be sharing with you to use social media. But I will never come out to and pretend to know all the minor details of what a certain platform requires, because that is your expertise. So I'm sharing that framework. I've used it. A lot of my clients have used it for massive results. And I invite you to use it. I invite you to try it out for 3 months. It has a sequence to use certain psychological triggers throughout when you post on social media. And I invite you to check it out for one of your clients or for your own business. And I promise you it will work. So the first thing that I would like to mention is what I found is when it comes to social, I think respecting the platform is the biggest thing that we all need to be aware of. And I don't think that a lot of people do. And I absolutely do not mean you. I mean people who are new to social. They don't respect the platform. So I think one of the biggest thing is we need to understand that social media is social, which means that it is a place where people want to come and hang out. Social media is not a marketplace. Your Facebook group, my Facebook group is not a marketplace. Absolutely pitch there. Absolutely pitch yourselves. Do whatever you want. I make my money off social, but do it in a way that sounds like a social interaction. And I'm going to be talking about how you can do that. Do it in a way that it sounds to the other person like you're socially interacting with them and not just pitching at them. The other thing is when it comes to social, and again, this is not something that I'm pulling out of my ass. This is based on psychology. Bite-sized works best because people are in a mode to interact. So the faster you get them to interact, it's better, because once they're engaged, and another element in social is that it is public, right? So the best way to get someone to become a fan is to force them to publicly engage with you. Once they've engaged with you, once they've liked your post, once they've commented on your post, now they're publicly engaged with you. And in psychology, there is this concept of cognitive dissonance, right? So when you have actively engaged with a brand, when you've actively engaged with someone, you're declaring to the public that you like them in some capacity, unless you're dropping, someone actually dropped a picture of dog poop on one of my ads. So I don't mean by that engagement, but I mean positive engagement. So in order to avoid cognitive dissonance, the person who has engaged with your brand once will continue to do so, because in their heads, they have already accepted that they like your brand and they're willing to engage with your brand. So that, to avoid that cognitive dissonance, and human beings will do anything to avoid the cognitive dissonance. So that's why the best way to get them to engage with your social media post is to make it bite-sized, make it so crunchy that they have no choice but to engage. If the post is too long, they will read it and they'll get tired. There are certain posts that once I'm done reading them, I'm already tired. I don't have any energy left to do anything else. So bite-size works for that. Another thing, that if you have not read the book Contagious, which I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it. So there's this book Contagious that talks about what makes things go viral. And one of the things, so there are a lot of factors that make things go viral, but one of the things that is proven and backed by psychology over and over again is things that are high arousal. And I know it sounds dirty. I promise it is not dirty. High arousal emotions, or high arousal posts, or high arousal social media interactions are things that make people, that put people in a higher state of energy than they were before. So when they read your post, are they excited and are they jumping out of the seat, or are they pacified and at peace and feeling a little bit low level of energy than they did before? That decides how viral your content or how shareable your content is, because unless they are in a higher arousal state, they are not going to share it. They will like it. They will probably give you a comment saying nice post, but they're not going to share it because they're not in a higher arousal state of mind. So that is one thing that we all need to keep in mind. I'll talk more about this in a bit. Conversational, obviously, so keep it less markety, less corporate, zero corporate, and more conversational. Also vary it. So as an example, and I will give you that example in just a bit when I share the framework with you. So as an example, social media posts, unfortunately, most things that I share, they have, if you've seen a brand for like a week, you can see that there is a pattern to their posts. They're kind of similar posts. There isn't a lot of variety. So the framework that I will share with you will allow you to not only offer variety in your social media postings, but also do it in a way that you hit people's brain from different angles. So that's the idea behind variety, the way I do it. So it's not just variety in terms of share an image on Monday and share a quote on Tuesday and then share a joke on Wednesday. That's not what I mean. I mean variety in a way that you are hitting your audience's brain from different angles, because you don't know which angle would work for that person. There might be certain people who are, more driven by fear. There are people who are more driven by passion, whatever. And lastly, it has to be personal. So a lot of people come to me and say, oh, my brand is not very personal because I'm in corporate, or my people that I'm targeting are corporate or dry, and I don't want to be personal. But really, if you are on social media, if you are using social to sell, then you have to have personal posts. You have to share personal sides of your story. And I'm going to be talking about that in just a bit. And I challenge you at the end to throw any business at me, and I will tell you how you can make it personal. So, so this is the framework that I keep referring to. Now, I don't want to, I promise I'm not saying it because I want to be a braggy know-it-all, but I have a best-selling book on this, which is #1 in multiple categories, including consumer behavior and sales. And really, this is what the book is all about. The idea behind the book and this framework is, it's called Mass Persuasion Method. And the idea is that human brain, it is like an electric circuit. And if you want to spark attention in that circuit, if you want to spark a yes in that circuit, you have to activate certain persuasion switches. And I have classified these as 8 persuasion switches. Now, most people, when it comes to psychology, I think the go-to holy grail book of reference is Robert Cialdini's book. But I have taken a different stance to persuasion, and I will be talking more about all of these 8 switches. But really the idea, the reason I'm sharing this framework with you, and yes, I will give you these slides so you can, so a lot of my clients, what they've done is they've printed out this slide and they've put it on the wall next to their desk. So when they're writing or when they're posting on social media, when they're putting together a sales page, or when they are writing an email, they just mentally tick through these switches to see which ones have been activated. Because honestly, if you have activated, say, 6 of these switches in an email or a sales page, dude, you're set. Because the person who's being hit with that sales page or that email, they have absolutely no idea what went on. But what went on was that you hit them from all of these different angles, and they didn't really realize that they were hit with it. So that's where this comes in. And I will talk more about what these switches mean. But really, before we move on, I want to say this, and I want to emphasize when I say this, we need to, the good people. So there are the good people, and then there are the sleazy people. I think the good people need to stop looking at persuasion as if it is something dirty, because persuasion is, my definition of persuasion is that it's not something that one person does to another person. Instead, persuasion is something that a person does to herself in response to the stimulus you expose them to, right? So your role as a persuader is to expose your audience to the right stimulus. But you're not pushing them, you're not twisting their arm, you're not manipulating them into doing something. All you're doing is you're exposing them to the right stimulus, and then that person will convince herself, will persuade herself. So those of you, if you have that kind of silent voice in your head that says, oh, persuasion is manipulative, oh, it's dirty, I want you to know that this is not how human brain works. No one can force another person to do anything. Our role, our control is only to expose the other person to the right stimuli. And these 8 switches allow you to do that.
I love that point, and I want to say real fast, every person in my community, they're really good people. Like, all of my people are really good, which is unheard of. Like, if we have sleazy people, we kick them out. Like, that's what we do immediately. And they don't even know that happens behind the scenes. When people are sleazy or scammy, they're out. And that's because we've really preserved it. So every person here, listen to what she just said, and you'll get the replay of this. So watch it over and over and recognize that Bushra is giving you some love. Like, you deserve to use mass persuasion methods. You deserve to use it because you guys are the good people. So I'm not leading a class for like schmucks. So
I love that. I love you said, because, and I have to vouch for it. She said that. So when I asked her about the audience, she talked about your demographic. So she told me what you guys do, but then she said they're all such good people. I love that. I've never heard anyone refer to their audience or their clients as that. So I am very honored to be here, to be with people whose identity is that they are good people. Yes. I love that. I have to, Rachel, say that description of your audience, that really blew me away, because you said, I was just looking at the messages and you said, oh, these are, they're these people, and they're all really good people. I love that.
They are. It's unheard of. Like, this is not normal, but it's an incredible community.
I love that. Okay. So disclaimer here, I am not a social media expert. So the only thing that I have done is that I've used these different platforms to do these different kind of things. So I've used Twitter to connect with influencers. When I had my corporate blog, I got featured in Forbes and all of these big, massive corporate-y type of publications purely using Twitter. I've used LinkedIn to establish subject matter expertise. I've used Facebook to build a community and leverage paid traffic. Instagram, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just look like an idiot because I have no idea what I'm doing on Instagram. I'm kind of playing with it, but honestly, I have no clue. So this is just a disclaimer for you guys to know. If you're planning to ask me any questions on Instagram, please don't, because it'll just embarrass you and it'll embarrass me. But what I do know is the psychology of social. And here are the 5 commandments that I'm sharing with you. Number 1, thou shalt stir controversy. Now, when I say, every time I say thou shalt stir controversy, people are like, oh my God, we don't want to do that. I don't want to create polarity. I don't want to create controversy just for the sake of it. And I get it. Do not do it. Do not create controversy for the sake of it. But there is this switch, which I will talk about. There's this switch called the parity switch. And the idea behind the parity switch is that you have to be bold enough to come out and say and establish why you are better than the other alternatives out there. Now, how you do it is up to you. But human beings we it's a natural instinct that we compare people, whether it is choosing an outfit or choosing someone to go on a date with or choosing a name for your firstborn. We always compare. Comparison is a natural human instinct. So no matter what you're selling, no matter what you're doing, people are constantly comparing you to other alternatives. Now, if you don't step in and tell them why you're better than the other options, they are going to go ahead and do the comparison on their own, because that's human nature. They are going to do the comparison. So your job as a persuader is to step in and facilitate that comparison. This is what I mean. And how do you facilitate that comparison? You facilitate that comparison by doing something that Rachel just did. She said, my people are all good people. We kicked out people who are not good people. This is what I mean by she just established, she just activated the parity switch. She just told all of you guys here and anyone who will hear this, and I will be telling this story to others, that I heard Rachel say that. She just established why she is different and why her community is different. So a schmuck, when he or she listens to this, he'd be like, okay, I need to stay away from Rachel. And a person who does not feel understood because she's a good person and she does not want to be sleazy, when she hears this, she'll be like, oh my God, I belong with Rachel because she has the kind of community that I can relate to. So what I mean by controversy or parity is to facilitate that comparison. Every time you post on social, every time you do anything online, please keep in mind that people are constantly comparing you to someone else. They're constantly doing that. Facilitate that comparison. If you don't do it, they will do it themselves. And when they do it themselves, they may not arrive at the conclusion that you want them to arrive at, right? So this is what I mean by that. Now, we will talk about how you can do that. There are many different ways to do that. There are ways that are too in your face, the way I do it. I'm very in your face about why I'm different. And then there are the nicer ways, just like Rachel did. So there are nice ways and then there are aggressive ways, but you have to facilitate that comparison. Number 2, thou shall engage. Social media is not about talking at people, but about engaging with people. And that does not, you already know that. I'm not telling you anything new, but from a psychological perspective, the reason it is important, the reason that engagement is important, because it makes the other person feel seen. The reason we are on social media is because we want acknowledgement of our existence. At least that's why I'm there. We want acknowledgement that we are important. We want acknowledgement that our words matter. We want acknowledgement that our opinion is valued. When you don't engage with people, when they leave a comment or they post a testimonial saying, oh my God, I love your post, or I love something, or oh my God, I love this video, I love the point that you made, and you don't engage with them, or you're doing a webinar and someone leaves a note in the chat box about something, Dane said something about not being, you don't want to see me, right? If you don't engage and if you don't acknowledge, the other person is like, you know what? She's so self-absorbed. Why would I even engage with her any further? So engagement is not just a way to fool the, kind of fool the system and get more reach, but also it's a way to make the other person, validate the other person. The reason that the person is on social is because the reason I am on social, honestly, yes, I make money with social, but also because I want people to tell me how awesome I am all day, every day. Number 3, thou shall not indulge in word diarrhea. Please, because again, you want short and punchy, you want people to read it, take action right away, but do not indulge in word diarrhea, because honestly, no one reads it and they judge you. Yeah. Number 4, social is thy salvation, but it is also thy curse. So there will always be, so I just told you the story about this person who left the picture of dog poop on one of my ads, right? There was another person who, and again, as you can see, English is not my first language. I have a really weird South Asian accent that everyone in Hollywood makes fun of. Yes, I'm fully aware of that. So I posted something. Yeah, I had an ad running and it said something like, launches just became a whole lot funner. And she, on the ad itself, she was like, oh, by the way, I really respected you until I read the word funner, because funner is not a word. And So yeah, that happens. So anyway, actually, just for the reference, funner is a word, but,
Yeah.
but the point is that people will do that, and you have to be prepared for that. And lastly, honor thy reader. You know, if you are in a market where people are you use a certain type of language, they have a certain type of beliefs, they have a certain type of point of views, respect them, honor them, and not. So this obsession with be yourself, I think it's become a little bit ridiculous, because yes, be yourself is important, but you're not selling to yourself, you're selling to your ideal buyer. Now, if your ideal buyer profile is the same as you, then great, but not every time. Not embrace yourself is important, be yourself is important, but also honor the person that you're talking to, because eventually they are the ones who are going to open their wallet for you. You're not going to pay yourself, right? So that's just things that I wanted to share. Now, before we post on social, some things that I wanted to share with you. Before you post on social, there are 5 things that I like to scribble out, and they don't have to be in any detail, but just pre-work before you think about social. And now you can decide to use it for your clients if you're taking on a new client. And I would be honored if you're taking on a new client and you decide to use this path and this way of engaging on social using this framework. And if you do that and you get great results, please let me know, because yes, I have really low self-esteem and I need someone to validate my existence. So please do that. But really, you have to know who you are. You have to know your story, your values, your shareables. Are there any specific quotes? So like we just started and Emma said, launch ugly. And that's one of my quotes. That's one of my mantras. I share them all the time. So if you have any of those things, collect them. Also know your customer, who she is, what she thinks, what she does, where she lives, what does she do in a typical day, all of those things. You have to know your product in and out. You also have to know the alternatives. And the reason we need to have these things is because we need to activate the 8 persuasion switches that I told you about. And we cannot do them unless we cannot activate the switches unless we have all of those things. And then lastly, know the purpose. Why are you using social? Are you using social to build brand awareness, or do you really want people to also buy from you? So before you post on social, it's important to know all of those things. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this because this is your area of expertise. This is not mine. But as at a bare minimum, you need to have these 5 things ready before you start posting. Otherwise, the 8 switches are not going to work. And another thing, before you click post, you can have a checklist next to your desk that says, okay, is my post high arousal? What I like to do is I like to read it out loud to see, okay, so what kind of energy does that create? Does that post make me go, woohoo? Or does that make me go, nice post? Because nice post is not high arousal, whereas ooh-hoo-hoo is high arousal. And I was hit with, I don't want to take a name, but there was another business who was promoting something similar to what Rachel does. Mm-hmm. And I saw their ad and it was so passive and it was so low energy that even though the offer was interesting, I did not even stop for a single second to read it because it was low energy. We know that high energy sells. We know that, and some people, not everyone is naturally high energy, but then I saw Rachel's ad, and I don't remind me, Rachel, what it said, but I saw this ad where it said something like, it is small, kind of like me. There's this Facebook ad where was this, I love that copy.
Which one was it? Because I run so many ads every person.
It was something like tiny, it is tiny and bite-sized, kind of like me. I don't know what it was.
Oh,
but it had a picture of you going, and I had no idea that you were tiny. I was like, oh, okay, so she's a tiny thing.
Yes, the one for Elite where I said every module is like bite-sized and full of action, just like me.
Just like me, yes. Right? So it gets a laugh. It is not low energy. It is not passive. You cannot read that line and not, so that's what I mean. So just think a little bit. And even if you're sharing, so as an example, in the book Contagious, he talks about two types of articles. So there are articles that create anger about a certain situation, particularly political. And then there are the kind of articles that make the person feel sad. The one that evokes anger will always be shared more than the one that evokes sadness, because anger is a high arousal emotion. So no matter what you're trying to make the person feel, always think to yourself, okay, will it make the person be agitated or high energy, or will it make them low energy compared to what they were before they read it? Also, be respectful of others people's communities. I don't need to say this, but because I have a group and I see people who are not respectful of other people's communities. And then another tip that I have is that every word that you write on social, every single word, and that means also the comments that you leave on someone's post, you're trying to help them out, you leave a comment and it's a solid comment, copy it and put it in a swipe file. So I have a swipe file that has 80,000 words. And these are all posts that I made on social media, just because I'm thinking of something, or I responded to someone's comments, whether on my community or in someone else's community. Always put them in a swipe file, because your best words or your best advice sometimes comes at a time when you're least expecting it. And I don't believe in wasting a single word. So every single word that you write on social, please put it up in a swipe file. You will thank me, I promise. That actually could be your next book as well. So, okay, now what to post? Okay, can I take a break here? I'm just gonna stop this and go back and see. Okay, how are you doing? Are you bored? Are you like, I don't know.
Have you been watching the chat?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm so sorry.
Okay. No, I'm saying they're not bored. They're like, oh my God, amazing.
Okay, so a swipe file is basically a Google Doc. So I just create a Google Doc, which is almost always open, or you can do it on Evernote. And again, every time I leave a comment, because I don't know about you, but to me, smart words come in spurts. Sometimes I am so dumb. Okay, I don't know what happened. I actually know what happened. The duct tape moved. Husband, the duct tape moved. The switch was held together by duct tape. Sorry, you just witnessed it. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, okay, husband is fixing it. So now you know the reality of running a 7-figure business. Yay! Duct tape holds the world together. Yes, duct tape and prayers.
Yes.
Thank you. So how do you maintain? So I just have a swipe file going. You can do it in Evernote, or you can do it in a Google Doc. And basically, it's just an idea of the moment you post it and you see like 3 or 4 or 5 likes on a comment, I will just copy it and I'll put it in a. So I just do it from my phone. No, I don't automate it because I don't know how automation works. Thank you so much, darlings. I'm going to come back to these questions, but I want to, you literally copy paste everything. Not everything, but I copy paste a lot of stuff. So as an example, I know that's off topic, but as an example, because it kind of goes back to the same comment that I was making about honoring thy readers. So as an example, what I've seen is that when people drop you love notes on social, I see a lot of big names who either don't acknowledge it or they would say, thanks, right? I don't like it. If I took the time and effort to tell someone how much I love them and how much I love their work, I expect a little bit more than that. So I have an Evernote where I have thoughtful ways to tell them that I am grateful for their nice words. So, right. So thank you so much. You just made my day. Thank you so much for making me feel important. I am so honored that you it's a little bit more than just thank you. And once you have that 7, 8, 10, 12 phrases, you can just pick one and post it instead of just saying thanks. I don't think that a lot of people, the reason they don't engage well on social media, I don't think it's because they are lousy people, but because they don't have time. But definitely use that. Same goes for email. I get a lot of love notes on emails. I'm really honored that people take the time to let me know. And I don't think it's fair for me to just say, thank you for your email. I think that's really, I don't want to ever be in a position where someone sends me a love note and I say, oh, thank you for your email. So again, I have 6, 7 different scripts in that same Google Doc that says response to love notes. I will take one of those, customize it a little bit, and then send it back to the person because I want to honor their love note. Okay.
That's so smart. Doesn't it seem like it, you guys? Like versus going through the brain work of trying to come up with something genuine every single time where it doesn't feel genuine, instead using like your best words of thank you when your brain is on and you're like ready to go. Yep. Absolutely. And another tip that you can do is that if you use Gmail, sorry, I don't know.
Okay. So if you don't, go talk to dad. So if you don't, kids, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm like, what do I do? She's like, I have tennis. I was like, go tell your dad. Okay. So one more thing that you can use is that if you use Gmail, or if you can use something like Boomerang email, where you can actually put together these scripts ready. So these will be pre-assigned templates, and when you're about to send the email, when you compose the email, you just choose one of those scripts from the drop down. That really works. But we're not talking about email. So, and my email is kind of weird. Thank you, Holly. Okay, so that was weird because she's like, I have tennis, and the dad is like there, as in I can see him, but no. Just come and talk to me. Okay, so just gonna share the screen, go back. Okay, so what do we post? So here are a few posts that I have done, and the reason I wanted to share these with you is because they are all organic. They're not boosted posts. Some of them are not even in my Facebook group, but they did really well. And I want you to see these posts, and then I'm going to put them in the context of the 8 persuasion switches. So this one has 743 likes and 126 comments. It was not in my Facebook group. It was in someone else's Facebook group. The other one had 327 comments, likes, and about 69 comments. Again, not my group, but in both of these, I'm sharing a personal side of my life. I'm sharing things that kind of the ugly side of my life. And in psychology, this is the most, again, I'm not going to say the most, this is one of the most powerful things that I don't think we do enough on social media. And it is called the Pratfall Effect. And the idea behind Pratfall Effect is that human beings who appear less than perfect, who appear more human, are actually far more likable than people who appear perfect. So even though social media is obsessed with perfection, the reality is that if you want people to like you, if you want people to engage with you, relate with you, they like you and they have no idea why they like you, then you have to appear less than perfect. So what happened right now was not planned. I had no idea she would walk in, but this is the kind of thing that I mean, right? So and the fact that the duct tape slipped, these are the kind of things that make you appear less than perfect, and these are the kind of things that make people like you. So that you can look up Pratfall Effect if you want, and both of these posts are exactly this. One is talking about how I have this really ugly website, and this was once I actually had my first professional website done. And then the second one also talks about the lessons that I've learned by launching ugly. Next up is both of these posts are, by the way, they are all about controversy. They're all about activating the parity switch. The first one is, it says, I don't have money blocks, you have reality blocks, because I'm kind of against this idea that the reason when someone cannot invest in your program is because they have money blocks. I call BS on that, and I talk about that. I'm really vocal about that. The other one is where it says, go on, tell us again how your undisclosed client made $1 million using undisclosed tactics. We all believe you. Again, something that is one of my pet peeves on social, and I openly, vocally talk about it. So this is where the parity switch comes in, right? You are kind of drawing a line in the sand and saying, okay, this is what I believe in, this is what I stand for, and everything else that is there, that's not me. So that's one way of doing that comparison. This is a really silly video. These are just, again, random examples from my social media posts. I can make better and faster faces. This picture of me looking like I'm possessed is just a picture of me using Boomerang. But it's silly and it's weird, and my son is at the back trying to stop me from embarrassing him. And I just wanted to share it because, again, Pratfall Effect, again, relatability. The one on the right is, again, finding a point of connection with your buyer, with your buyer or your audience. Two more examples of posts. You will have them. You can take a look at them later. But just wanted to share these with you to give you an idea of the kind of things that I share and how they relate to the 8 persuasion switches. So let's now talk about the 8 persuasion switches because I keep talking about them. Switch number 1. So the way I've done is that the switch is on the left-hand side. It says the prestige switch. And then there are a few examples of posts, the type of posts that you can share on social media to activate the prestige switch. Now, the idea behind the prestige switch is that the biggest thing that makes people say yes to anything, we might think that it is money, we might think it is looks, we might think it is, I don't know, the need to lose weight. But what drives all of these needs is the need to be better than others. So the biggest thing that makes people say yes to things that they may not say yes to otherwise is the thing that elevates their prestige. So if you can position your product, no matter what you're selling, if you can position your product in a way that it enhances their prestige, that it raises their prestige, that it boosts their prestige, their social status, they will say yes. So as an example, this is my favorite example. When you are selling a lawnmower, as an example, most people would position a lawnmower as, oh, your lawnmower, it has this super high power motor and it will cut your grass in 30 minutes, which means that you can relax, you will save time, right? Now, the reality is that the reason people want that lawnmower, now they may say that they want to buy it is because they want to be able to cut the grass in 30 minutes and chill on their lawn. But more than anything else, the reason they want that lawnmower is because they want the fat, judgy neighbor next door to die of jealousy because they have a lush green lawn, because a lush green lawn implies that they are rich. So everything, no matter what you're selling, if it can be positioned in a way that enhances their prestige, that it makes them feel better than others, then it will sell. So as an example, these are just few posts that you can share. So for example, the big yay, right? So you can ask them on a social media post, what is the biggest desire they have when it comes to, for example, social media, right? So what would be your ideal dream situation when it comes to your social media? So you can share a few scenarios that tie into their prestige. Would you like to post, and I say that all the time, would you like to be able to make a post and make people go crazy, leaving hundreds of comments and thousands of likes on your post, because that ties into their prestige? You can also ask them to share their prestigious moments, because we all want to show off. So you can ask them to describe the moment they were at their best. So for example, you can ask them, let's just say it's a business owners community. You can ask them, okay, so could you share your best, most effective social media post that you've ever made and how that made you feel? People love talking about that. And again, it ties into their prestige. You can also talk about, so there are a few examples here. You can ask them, okay, who here in this community has already had their first sale, or who in their community has already made their first $10,000 or $5,000 or whatever it is that their prestige is tied to. Try to make a post that ties into their prestige. Now, this has nothing to do with you. This has to do with them being able to show off. So when you're posting on social media, most people, when they post on social media, it's all about how great I am. Look at me, I'm awesome. Look at me, how awesome I am. Oh my God, look at me, look at me, look at me. But what you have to understand is that what makes people comment and what makes people engage and what makes people want to be with you is not because you're awesome. It is because you know how to make them feel awesome. That's the hallmark of, by the way, great leadership as well. So great leaders are not the ones who are good at saying, look at me, I'm awesome. Great leaders are the ones who make the other person look awesome just by being in their circle. So that's where the prestige switch comes in. The second switch is the believability switch. Now, believability switch is directly related to you. So it is not necessarily about your audience, but it is about you. But it is not just about how great you are or how great your product is, but it is also about, because believability, most people, when they talk about believability, they think that believability is all about convincing your buyer or your prospect how great you are or how great your product is. But that is not the only thing when it comes to believability. The reason most sales don't happen is not because they don't believe you or their product. The reason most sales don't happen is because they don't believe in their own ability to get the results, right? So your job on social is to tell them about how great you are and your product is, but also you have to tell them why it will work for them. You have to share your stories or stories of your clients who no one thought this would work for, but it worked for them. So this is really where you will be talking about this. So you will, if you're going to be talking about your product, don't just talk about, I created this 5-module course that has 22 videos and 82 downloadable worksheets, and instead talk about what is the why does it have 22 videos? Why does it have 52 worksheets? How does it help them achieve the result that they're looking for? So I call it FMR. Everyone uses different terms for it, but I call it FMR, feature, merit, and result. So the feature is that you have a high resolution video, HD video, high resolution video. Do you have high resolution video? I think you have HD videos. Okay, so you have an HD video, and then what is the merit? So you have a downloadable HD video, that's a feature. The merit is so they can download it and watch it at their own pace. And the result is so they can actually implement it and get the results that they want, right? So no matter what no matter when you talk about your product, always make sure that you mention the FMR. Don't just talk about the feature. Don't just talk about the merit. Also talk about the result. You can also talk about your birth story, not your birth story. We shouldn't even be talking about birth stories right now, considering what situation Rachel is in. That could be tricky. Anything can trigger anything. But I mean the birth of your business. Also talk about what's stopping them from taking action. Because again, what you want to do is you want them to do 2 things. You want them to believe you want them to believe your product, and you want them to believe in their own ability to get results. So no matter what you're sharing, if you want to activate believability switch, you want to make sure you get these 3 believabilities going. And I'm kind of going fast, I know, because I'm trying to respect the time. Switch number 3 is parity switch, which we've talked about a lot before. But again, this is your opportunity to draw a line between them and you and everyone else. So it is an us versus them, but you have to be point blank about it. You have to be in their face about it. Again, if you're not the in your face kind of person, then be a little bit nicer about it. I'm not very nice about it, as you've witnessed, but share things that facilitate that comparison. Because every time you share something on social media, every time you share about your launch, every time you share your product or your service, people are constantly comparing you to someone else. You need to facilitate that comparison. Do not let them do that on their own. Next up is relatability switch, which kind of ties back into the Pratfall Effect. Remember, I talked about the Pratfall Effect, and I said that the best way for someone to like you, the easiest way for someone to like you is to be able to relate to you. And human beings find other human beings relatable only when they go through shit like this, the duct tape and the kid walking in, right? But if your story or your positioning is too perfect, how should I put it? Too put together, then people cannot relate to you. So talk about the time. So one post could be, and I've used that a lot, your biggest failure story. You can talk about the day all hell broke loose. You can share a launch failure, which happens to me every launch. You can talk about the moment where you messed up and then you owned up to it. You can talk about this time where you totally messed up on something. You can also talk about want to know what my Saturdays look like, and you can share with them a slice of life story about how your Saturdays look like, and they're really normal and they're really imperfect. It's also okay sometimes to post selfies without makeup, even if it melts the eyeballs of the people who are watching it. Yeah, I sometimes melt people's eyeballs when I post without makeup, but it's fine because it's all meant to activate the relatability switch. Next up is the desirability switch, and the idea behind the desirability switch is for people to look at you, look at your results, look at the results that you're getting people, and think to themselves, I wish I could have that. So this is where you paint a picture of a better after and create desirability for that after. So you can share case studies of your client, you can share testimonials, you can share an imagine the day post, right? So imagine the day all your social media troubles are gone. Imagine the day you wake up in the morning and all of your posts from yesterday have hundreds of comments, whatever, or your post went viral. Or you can share a short story painting the after picture. The idea behind this type of post is to make them go, I want what she is having. I want to have what she's having. This is the desirability switch. Next one is curiosity switch, which we all know curiosity works, as in that's like everyone uses it on social media. Just be a little bit careful when it comes to curiosity, because people have abused it to a point where everything sounds like clickbait now. But these are the 4 kind of posts that I have found to be really effective in getting the curiosity switch going without being sleazy or clickbaity about it. So something like, thought you knew me, think again, and then share 2 or 3 things about you that people have absolutely no idea could be true about you. So maybe Rachel comes back and says, you know what, do you know that I used to tame lions in Africa? And I'm like, I could have never guessed that, right? So some of those kind of facts. You can also do a fact or fiction game about you or about anyone else, about the industry. One of my absolute favorites is 3 Truths and a Lie, because it creates that curiosity switch. So play a 3 Truths and a Lie game on social. Which version won game, which I've done that a lot. I would post 2 versions of a copy or an ad, and I would say, okay, so tell me which version won, and then I kind of would share a commentary. Again, all of these are curiosity, but they activate the curiosity switch, but they don't do it in the sleazy clickbaity way. Next one is urgency switch. Again, the problem with urgency switch is because that social media, internet has ruined it. So the problem is that we've gotten so immune to sharing last 2 pieces, last 10 spots, last 24 hours that we don't acknowledge it anymore. So I'm sharing with you a few things here that you can use without saying last few spots left. One of that is what I call it the next 10 minutes post. I've used it with a lot of success. You can say something like, here are 3 things that can happen in the next 10 minutes. You can go get a sugar-loaded Starbucks coffee. You can go fold a pile of laundry, or you can invest in my program and do something, right? So it kind of puts things in perspective. You know, it just takes 10 minutes or 2 minutes or 5 minutes and makes them want to do it, because they might be thinking, oh, it's too complicated. I might not be able to do it. Another type of post is what you can do with this type of dollars, right? So right now there is an ad running for my book where it says, what can you do with $14? So my book is $14. It says, what can you do with $14? And then I list a bunch of really crappy things that I can get $14, and I tell them as a frame of reference, you can also get my book and kind of change your life. So there are ways to create urgency without really saying last few spots left, because people are kind of getting immune to that. And the last one, and my favorite, is edutainment switch. So again, the reason people are on social media is because they're looking for mental stimulation. They're looking for ways to be more entertained. If we are always trying to educate them, or we're being too serious, or we're all about business and wisdom quotes and inspiration, then they will go somewhere else looking for entertainment. So no matter what you're doing, even if you're teaching this, so I cannot see your chat, but even when I'm delivering this, I am trying to be funny, which, because I can't see your chat, I'm actually thinking that it's falling flat. I don't know whether those jokes are working. I'll finish this and then I'll go see. But I will still attempt a joke, because I want it to be entertaining. I want you to be fully engaged. I want you to achieve that mental stimulation while you're listening to me. That sounds weird. I'm sorry if it does. And here are a few kind of posts that you can do this. Caption this, a hate mail or a love note, your favorite guilty pleasure, a what if game. What if the internet disappears tomorrow? You can share the best industry joke. So I am an accountant originally, and the favorite industry joke that I share all the time is, when we were in accounting, we would say, okay, what does an accountant use for birth control? And the answer is their personality. I find it very funny. Please laugh. You can share a picture of your workspace, pet, food, scenery, picture of your toe if you want. Really, the idea is to entertain them and not just talk business all the time. So my recommendation to you would be to post a switch or 2 every day, and then cycle them. Because what will happen is, when you post a switch or 2 every day and then you cycle them over a period of 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, you will have activated all of those switches. So you will not activate them in the first week, probably, but over a period of 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months, you will have activated all of their switches, which means that they have no idea but to say yes to you. But don't just use one hook. Alternate them, create variety, switch them, and hit them from different angles. So I hope that was useful. I just finished it, and now I'm like, I hope you like me. Do you like me?
Do you guys love her? Yes. Freaking out. Amazing.
I know,
You gotta
thank
check
you.
out the chat now, because you're going to be like, okay, that was worth the wait. Oh,
I hope so. I'm just going to copy the link and share that with you. I'm just going to drop the link, Rachel, also for you in the chat box if you want the slides. Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you so much. That was absolutely okay. Oh my God. Thank you, Casey. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Woo, woo. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much, Manuela. I'm so grateful. I would love if you guys have any. Oh my God, there's a baby in the room.
This is the baby. Okay. This is one of my 2 babies. She's picking her nose. Oh, okay.
Oh my God. So I got to watch my tongue. I got to watch my tongue. Not say anything. Thank you so much, Kim.
So
thank you so much, Christina.
The craziest part, Bushra, is a lot of these things were what got you known in different communities. And I remember you posting them at different points. Like I remember you did the 3 truths or 2 truths and a lie in the 9 to 5. And it was like famous for months. Like people were talking about it. Does anyone remember any of her original posts in like different communities? I mean, I've been like a fan for a long time. So since I first started in online marketing just over 2 years ago. And I've been like, she's amazing.
Oh God,
but like you.
Oh my God. Okay, I saw a question, but I can't scroll up. So if I missed a question, oh my God, thank you, darling. Thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you so much, Rachel, for the opportunity. I have to say, your people are quite nice.
I meant it. They're like,
I don't know what you feed them, but they're really nice. Not a single nasty. Where are all the nasties hiding?
There are no nasties. They're not allowed.
I love that. Thank you so much, guys. But honestly, oh my God, thank you so much. Yes, you are really nice. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions now, later, feel free to ask me. Thank you so much, Mara. Thank you so much, darling. Thank you so much.
Dustin had a great question. So Dustin said, when you're talking about your failures, do you suggest that we use our real failures, or do we use like failures that almost happened?
So I would use real failures. The only thing I would stay away from is failures that are not about your subject matter expertise. That's a great question, and I should have given that disclaimer. So the idea of using Pratfall Effect is getting people to see you as more relatable and more human. But if you start sharing failures, if you start sharing mess ups that are related to your subject matter expertise, they diminish your authority. So try to focus them more on duct tape and a kid walking in or a hole in the shirt rather than about you messing up a Facebook ad campaign because you put the thank you page link instead of the landing page link. Happened to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting conversions for 10 cents. Apparently it was because the traffic was going to the thank you page. So yeah, don't share this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Love you. See you soon.
Oh,
that's such a good question, though.
This was a great question. So yes, don't share this kind of failure.
Until it's one thing I do is I share things once they're not raw anymore. So like I had a failed launch a couple of years ago, like probably a year and a half, no, 2 years ago, like right when I first started. And now it's like not raw. And I tell the story in like detail and I talk about all the things that went wrong because now I've had good launches. So it's like, okay, now I can share that.
Yeah, that's a good strategy as well, because now you can position it as a lesson, right? So there is also that part. I love that. Yay!
Any other questions, you guys? Oh, they're all buying tons of books. Someone else asked Emma asked what the second book was that you recommended. So there was Contagious and there was one more. I
didn't recommend a book. I said there is this effect called Pratfall Effect, which was all about relatability, but it's a psychological concept. There isn't a book on it. But if you're going to go check out a book, check out my book. Shameless plug, people. But yeah, let's be honest. Sorry?
Do you have a link for that? I'd love to share it.
It's called Mass Persuasion Method. I think, oh my God, you have the book. Excellent. But you know what? I'm just going to give you a link so you can claim the bonuses too if you want.
Ooh, people have your book. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you so much. But I just also put up the link if you're interested, and I feel really sleazy doing it, but please, if you're interested. But I shared the slides with you. Sorry?
She's earned it. Yeah, totally. Yep.
Thank you. You mentioned using Twitter to reach out to influencers. Do you mean a DM on Twitter? So the way I did that, Jocelyn, was I used it to get guest posts so what I would do is I would engage with them on Twitter. actually, I have a post on that somewhere. Hang on, let me find that and share that with you. What was that post called? So the way I did that was I didn't DM them, no. The way I did that was I would just engage with them, respond to their things. Okay, yeah. So I talk about the process here. I'm just going to put it up in the chat box. So basically, this is a way to approach pitch people for guest posting, and this is how I got featured in Forbes. But do that before you post the pitch. Make sure that you engage with them on Twitter. So I just shared the link. There is a template that you can use to pitch for guest posts. It has an 80% plus response rate. It works beautifully, but make sure you engage with people before you reach out to them.
That's awesome.
I'm so glad that you find it useful. So, okay. So, oh my God, we've talking for an hour. So
it's flown by, hasn't it? It's been fun.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Any last questions? And then we can say thank you so much to Bushra for joining us today. This has been a blast.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm so grateful that I could talk to you. You guys are all good people. Agree about engaging first. Absolutely, absolutely. And again, if they recognize your face, they're more likely to say yes.
Yep.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rachel, for having me. It was a blast.
So much. This was awesome. And so Bushra's book, we'll share it in the group as well with the link in case you need to get it later, because I know a lot of you guys are like running to and from work and like in between, and you know, you're at work, you're like, I can't really shop at work. So I'll make sure that you guys get the link to that, and we'll also have the replay of this. Bushra said possibly the slides, but we'll see because life sometimes gets crazy.
I actually put the slides in the chat box. Do you want me to send it to you as well? I just put it up in the chat box, once it's finished.
Perfect.
Yeah, send it to you.
I will.
I'm actually going to put it up in a minute, because once I'm done with this, life will suck me in, and then I don't know what will happen. So I'm just going to share it again in the chat box, and then you guys are free to use it.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So cool. Such a great start to our days, or for those of you on the other side of the world, such a great way to end or revamp your day for the rest of the day. Awesome. We've got this now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You got the link, yeah?
Yes, we've got it. You are even better in real life.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. Now I got to do tennis, because obviously the dad can't. So.
Yeah. All right. Have fun at tennis. Okay. Bye.
Bye.